Strange, a Garth Marenghi's Darkplace rewatch podcast. I'm
Yay!
Nick.
And I'm Kim.
And we're back.
We are.
But
Even
first,
though we've got no more X-Files to talk about.
well, we've got some news.
Oh, do you?
I have news.
Is it X-Files related
It
news?
is X-Files related news. I decided to spring this on you with a surprise.
Okay.
So this was, Robert Patrick was interviewed as part of Tulsa King Season 3, which we've never watched.
Okay.
But is on Paramount Plus. But he was asked about the X-Files, and he said that being John Doggett was his favourite character of all time.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's quite surprising he never wanted to go back to the series, but apparently, yeah, favourite character.
Some people don't like being typecast.
Indeed. Apparently, he said he's always been too busy to go back, and that's why he didn't go back for the revival or anything.
Okay.
And there's some speculation by Screen Rant about if that means he's potentially going to go back in the reboot series.
Yeah, if anything comes of it.
Well, as of 4 days ago,
Okay.
Danielle Deadwyler is in talks to star in Ryan Coogler's The X-Files.
Who's Danielle Deadwyler?
She is best known for roles in The Harder They Fall, Till, and The Piano Lesson, which we haven't seen any of.
No, I don't think I have.
But from this article, it sounds like what's actually been going on is we thought this might have died, but it sounds like Ryan Coogler was actually really, really busy with Sinners.
Okay, yeah.
And now that's done and dusted, he's actually paying more attention to The X-Files. Although apparently, weirdly enough, there's been very little official announcement of this. Apparently it came offhand from Chris Carter.
Okay.
In a podcast, he sort of said it was coming. And that's kind of why it all seems to be so up in the air, because it's not been announced in quite the same ways. But yeah, The X-Files is not as dead as we thought it was going to be.
Oh,
Ryan
neat.
Coogler is still around. There is stuff happening.
Okay, we'll see how that goes.
We will. And I suppose for Garth Marenghi news, with his latest book is out at the end of the month.
It's called This Busted Earth.
Yes. And it's the last of the Terratome trilogy.
Yes.
Okay.
It's coming out, at least in the UK, 30th of October.
Yep, and we will be going to see him just before that, annoyingly just before the book actually goes out, because he's doing a series of tours. So we should probably start with, if you've clicked on this for some reason and have no idea what Darkplace is or Garth Marenghi is, the best thing I've got for where you might have actually encountered him is there's an animated GIF that does the rounds of a man saying, "I know authors who use subtext and they're all cowards."
And that is Mr. Marenghi.
That man is Mr. Marenghi, played by Matthew Holness. So, Garth Marenghi's Darkplace is a weird series, and it came from 2 Edinburgh Fringe productions.
Yes, called Garth Marenghi's Dark Night or something?
Fright Night, I think.
Fright Night. Night spelled with a K.
Yeah.
And Neverhead, I think, is the other one.
And off the back of that, they got the chance to do the TV series. There's actually very little about what those skits entailed. I get the impression that the other cast members were involved.
I believe Dean Lerner and Liz were both involved,
Okay.
but none of the rest of them.
None of us. Okay, because I was wondering if it was like just the same as the book tour stuff, but no, there seemed to be more elaborate what they were doing on Edinburgh.
Yes, from what I read, it sounds a lot more like Darkplace was a TV adaptation of whatever was at the Fringe.
Okay.
But I couldn't find a record of what those Fringe performances entailed.
No, I couldn't either.
So for any American viewers, the Fringe is like a comedy festival?
Yes.
That takes place in Edinburgh every year.
Yeah. I think it is entirely comedy, isn't it?
I believe it's entirely comedy. I've never actually been to it.
No.
But it's often a lot of comedians get their break on the Fringe.
Yeah.
So things like Bill Bailey, for example. You know, before he was a raging success at the Fringe, no one had heard of him, and now he's kind of a household name.
Yeah, I think the Mighty Boosh started off there as in a slightly different form, and we'll talk about the Mighty Boosh because we can't not talk about the Mighty Boosh.
But anyway, so Garth Marenghi, creation of Matthew Holness.
Yes, and Richard O'Aird, who is the director of all the episodes. We'll get to all the cast people in a minute. So this is... I don't know which order to do this, if we sort of talk about how Darkplace is presented and the fact that there seems to be a genre term for it, which I think is interesting.
Okay.
So Darkplace is meant to be is basically meant to be lost media, but it's fake lost media. This never existed until 2004 when it was put together.
So the in-series story is that it was deemed too radical and extreme for Channel 4.
No. That's what Garth Marenghi claims is what happened.
Which is a UK TV channel.
Yeah.
And therefore it's been lost for some time and was only briefly aired in Peru.
Yes. And it's something like there are 63 episodes or 67 episodes that were produced. We have 6.
I think he contradicts himself, because at one point he said 50 were scripted, and another he says there were 67 episodes.
Yeah. It's delightfully contradictory, and we have 6 of them to work through, which form a very loose thing. But in terms of what the media is, it's fake lost media of, like, I think the best example usually you point to is the Doctor Who episodes, the known ones that were broadcast once.
Yes.
And there's no official video recording of it. There are, at best, I think everyone's got they've got the audio for every episode because fans recorded the audio of the TV. And occasionally people will turn up a broadcast copy of these lost episodes. So they've slowly filled in the gaps, but there's a few that exist purely in terms of audio and production stills because they've got nothing else.
I know some of the Patrick Troughton ones recently they've animated.
Yes, because they've had to fill in the gaps. Because they've got the audio track but nothing else for it. And it's like it's one of those things of, so the BBC didn't see any value in keeping hold of old Doctor Who stuff, so they tended to tape over things, and that's not really what the Darkplace's problem is, but that's kind of like the most famous lost media. But there's a thing of late, and it seems to be you get comedy or you get horror fake lost media, because I think it's different from found footage.
It's similar to found footage, though.
It's similar, but there is a little bit different though, because it's like found footage is, we have found these tapes, like the Blair Witch Project, obviously, of these were found in the foundations of a house in the middle of the woods and shouldn't have been there. Or you've got something like Hell House LLC, which is it's a weird hybrid one because that's a mockumentary found footage thing.
Yeah.
Because that's a combination of 2 different mediums.
I suppose a similar thing, though, would be something like Spinal Tap.
Yes, although that's a straight mockumentary.
Yeah, I guess that's a straight mockumentary. This is more like watching a TV show with director's commentary. So you're
it's an even
you're
weirder.
looking at the likes of Antrim, I guess.
Yes, I would say Antrim's one of the big other example I can point to, which is a alleged lost 70s horror film, which has got a bookended intro and outro to set up the most most horrifying film. It was most deadliest film of all time.
Deadly. Antrim Antrim's in-film mythos is that it's a film that is wrought with disasters. So it's things like during one particular screening, the cinema burnt down and killed everybody watching it.
Yeah,
and things
another
like
one there, someone put LSD into the popcorn and things.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting quirk of that it's done to, like Darkplace, it's done to a really big level of dedication of making it look authentic to the time period.
Yes.
I think one of the criticisms I saw of Antrim, of all things, was the fact that the credits claim the actors are basically Swedish.
Yeah.
And it's like none of them look or sound Swedish in film because they're very clearly American actors.
Yeah.
It's like, I know, it's a weird thing to get hung up on, but yeah, it is a bit of a weird dissonance.
I did notice watching Darkplace, it's even some of the little details, like after the very retro Channel 4 logo, the theme music kind of distorts.
Yes, they deliberately. That's noted in the Wikipedia article. They deliberately sort of did these weird glitches you would get in broadcasts.
Yeah.
The other thing, though, that Darkplace more resembles, or I imagine took inspiration from Darkplace, is Dude Bro Party Massacre 3.
I love that you're using that for a reference.
What? But it's
such an obscure reference.
It is. If you've never seen it, it's worth seeking it out because it's a very funny film.
Yeah.
And this is the second sequel in a series that doesn't exist. So we've got film 3, and there's flashbacks and references and bits of footage of the previous 2 films just to sell you that this is the 3rd instance.
And one character playing his identical twin after the original character has been killed off in the last film and stuff like that.
I think he dies at the start of the 3rd one.
He died right at the start,
of the 3rd. Yeah. That's the...
But you're on that level of ridiculousness.
Yeah, and just the inferences and strange behaviours are done before.
Mm.
But where it's kind of similar to Darkplace as well, though, is that the only known copy of Dude Bro Party Massacre 3 is something that's on taped off of TV. So you've got the ad break, bits and pieces of ad break interspersed into the footage.
Yeah, where they haven't hit stop fast enough. Yeah.
And it's like, that's, again, there should be a genre term for this, of you're making fake lost media. It's like, that's a very specific thing, because it's different to Hell House and things.
Yeah.
And Blair Witch, and the found footage is very familiar at this stage. This is something weirder.
So supposedly the only reason we have Darkplace is because Garth Marenghi had it in his basement.
Yes.
And during, it was something like
The worst creative drought.
the worst creative drought in Channel 4 history, they asked for it back.
Yes. And he did 6 episodes before they said, no, we're fine.
Yeah.
No more of that.
But yeah, it should be noted again that this is all, it's
all fictional.
It's all fictional. This is all the lore of Darkplace.
Yeah. And it's one of a very few instances of people doing something similar. I'd like to see more of it. And it strikes me, I was thinking about this before, and it's interesting though you basically get horror comedy and horror comedy out of it, because I don't think another genre is going to work. Because if you made a lost 80s romantic comedy, you've just got an 80s romantic comedy out of it.
Yeah.
You can't do much with it, but horror and comedy, you can play into the absurdities, or like, as Darkplace does, and as Duper Party Massacre does, the appalling budgets you've got.
You also have that nice thing with horror is that you don't really see in other medium, is what was deeply controversial 20, 30 years ago is now very tame.
Yes.
Which is kind of what you have in Darkplace, where they talk about it being edgy and too much for TV, but it is really, really tame by modern standards.
Yeah, some of it's kind of it's real bog standard 80s sexism, and they've captured that very well, but just to make the point of how bad people could be at the time.
Yeah.
And just how crass everyone.
But I'm thinking more of what... Let's look at things like the original Friday the 13th as what we considered gratuitous gore in the 70s. Is very mild now.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And also very fake looking because, special effects have come a long way.
Yes, well, I think you find that if you look at BBFC certificates, certainly it's like some films have dropped down these days.
Yeah.
I can't remember if Alien has actually made it, but a few of them have migrated downwards from 18s to 15s and things.
Well, you also have the famous banned medium, so the likes of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is no longer banned.
The Exorcist.
The Exorcist as well, yeah.
Clockwork Orange.
Clockwork Orange, yeah.
And those are always very weird to live through the point where they became unbanned, is that generally you went to the cinema immediately to see them because of the famous banned things. And usually come out saying, okay, I don't know what I expected, but that wasn't exactly terrifying.
I did that when Texas Chainsaw Massacre lost its ban. It's like,
was that it?
Yeah.
Because I think that's the problem with appreciation of things like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, is that given the fact they've built up a mystique that they don't have if you readily get to it, is you expect it to be really kind of dark, and I think it makes it hard to appreciate the film for what it was.
Yeah.
Given it launched Toby Hooper's career, because we watched Poltergeist the other day, even though that Toby Hooper's involvement on Poltergeist is
I always
weird.
think Texas Chainsaw Massacre is an interesting one because I don't really rate the original one anyway as a film. Some of its sequels are just need to be watched.
Yeah.
But its influence is undeniable. You can see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in so many other horror medias, video games, everything else.
Absolutely.
It's such an influential film that it's kind of essential viewing.
Yeah. I mean, there's the anecdote that Ridley Scott watched it before he did Alien and did not let 20th Century Fox know he was doing that because he figured that they would panic if they knew he was trying to take influence from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
It's even to the degree of Resident Evil 7 recreates the famous family meal scene.
Yes.
And does it really well.
Oh,
but it's a reference you won't get if you haven't seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
No, and even sort of seeing the spoofs, you don't quite get the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say as of all of them, I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the one that gets disturbing the most, because things like Clockwork Orange and Exorcist aren't... I think Exorcist, the problem is that you've seen too many spoofs of it by that point. It's like everyone has had a go at The Exorcist.
The power of Christ compels you.
Yeah, and just, it's not a very good film, but there's the entire Leslie Nielsen Repossessed, which is just, taking pot shots at The Exorcist the entire length.
The Exorcist is an incredible film. It's one of my top horror films. It just nails the atmosphere, the lighting, the cinematography. It is a fantastic film, and it's a shame it was banned for so long.
Yes, for no terribly good reason. Okay, so drifting back towards Darkplace. Who are people involved? We have some people. Okay, so one thing I noticed about the Darkplace cast is that generally Darkplace is like one of the first entrants on their bodies of work, and then it just goes on for absolutely miles.
And they had careers after it.
These people have had huge careers. The person who had the least career is Matthew Holness. He's done the least.
Probably true. He's more a writer.
He is more of a writer now, and I think he's quite happy with his niche. But also, he's the face of this. The thing doesn't work without him. But
no,
he's not gone onto these great lengths everyone else.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start with first episode, which is called Once Upon a Beginning, and first broadcast on the 29th of January 2004. Written by Richard Ayoade and Matthew Holness, and directed by Richard Ayoade. This will hold true for all 6 episodes. So our cast. Matthew Holness is Garth Marenghi, who, and this is a bit where it gets confusing in Darkplace, because he then plays Rick Douglas, MD.
Oh, of course. It should be noted the fact that all of these actors are playing actors who are portraying other people.
In the fiction, yes.
So I think you just need to be clear. He is, the actor's name is Garth Marenghi, the character's name is Rick Douglas.
Yeah. So he was in The Office.
What, the English one?
The English one. He was he was in the motivation episode. He's Simon. He might have been the motivational speaker. I can't remember.
No, I don't remember.
This one took me by surprise. He was in The Haunting of Bly Manor.
Okay.
The Michael Flanagan series.
That's the only Michael Flanagan one I haven't seen, I think.
But can you imagine Garth Marenghi being
I want him wearing the glasses.
Well, obviously. And Possum, that film he directed, which
he wrote Possum as well. Possum's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So probably of much people know far better is Richard Ayoade, who played Dean Lerner, or I can't remember whose character's name.
Oh, Thornton Reed.
Thornton Reed is the hospital administrator.
Mm.
So he was in Paddington 2. The Lego Movie 2.
Who did he voice?
He was an ice cream cone.
Aww.
I can't remember where this is, but he's in there. One of the series that's going to keep coming back, a kind of weird sister series to Garth Marenghi's Darkplace, is The Mighty Boosh, where he played Sabu on a few different instances.
Yes.
Well, we'll probably touch on The Mighty Boosh at some point, because
I think Mighty Boosh might need to be explained to American viewers.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that in a minute, I suppose. His big one that most people know him from is he is Moss in the IT Crowd.
Mm-hmm.
He directed an episode of Community.
Oh, did he?
He did. And there's so many crossovers as we go on to this. He hosted the Crystal Maze revival a few years back.
Yes, he did.
He was in The Mandalorian.
Okay.
He voiced one of the robots. Black Mirror.
Yes, he is.
And he's in SpongeBob SquarePants.
He's also a voice in Disney's Soul.
Ah, okay. Oh, yes, of course he is.
He's one of the administrators in the afterlife. Not the Great Beyond, the place where the souls are.
Yeah. Then we have Matt Berry, who played Todd Rivers, who plays Rick Sanchez.
Yes.
He was in Moon, that very serious film with Sam Rockwell in it. He's in 2 SpongeBob films, Sponge Out of Water and Sponge on the Run.
He voices the dolphin.
And then he voices King Triton, or Neptune, whoever. He's in the Minecraft movie, poor sod.
Oh, his cameo in the Minecraft movie is icing on the cake, though. It is great.
He was also turned up in the Mighty Boosh, but in a less significant role, I think.
I don't remember who he was in the Boosh, but I did read on Wikipedia he's in it.
Yeah. He is in the IT Crowd as well as Douglas Renham.
Yeah.
Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Oh, okay.
He was also, obviously, the guest star of an episode of Community.
Mm-hmm.
Disenchantment, he provides a voice for.
Okay.
His most significant and famous other run is in What We Do in the Shadows, where he's one of the leads.
Yes, he is.
He's in the Book of Boba Fett, so they're just all entwined with each other here.
Mm.
He was in the Fallout TV version. He was the robot.
He was the medical robot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And set up for the next person, he is going to be in a adaptation of the 2000 AD comic strip Rogue Trooper.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Alice Lowe, who was in Hot Fuzz.
Yes, she was Tina.
She was also in Kill List. I don't remember her being in Kill
Was
List.
she in How many female characters are there in Kill List?
Not
Does
many.
she have to be the wife?
I don't think she's the wife, because I don't think she's the wife, but I think there are a few female characters, like possibly in the cult scenes at the end.
Like all the naked ones at the end.
Paddington, because it keeps coming back. Everyone's in Paddington, apparently.
Well, it's English actors rounding him up.
She was in Black Mirror Bandersnatch.
Yes, she's the doctor.
She's also going to be in the Rogue Trooper adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
She was also in the Mighty Boosh. She's also in the IT Crowd. And she was in the BBC Sherlock.
Oh, okay.
And rounding us out for this episode, though he'll come back in a later one, we have a guest star of Julian Barrett, who is the vicar.
Mm-hmm.
And his claim to fame was he was in Killing Eve and, the Mighty Boosh.
It was Howard Moon,
He was
like
Howard
the
Moon,
main character.
So let's take a pause before we do this synopsis, because should we do the synopsis first, because the synopsis is very short.
Go on. I'm looking forward to see how you do a synopsis on the Garth Marenghi, in part because you'll probably make me do it next time.
I will make you do it next time. A new character, Liz, arrives at Darkplace Hospital, and we discover very quickly she has psychic powers, which causes her to collapse in the middle of reception.
Mm-hmm. Rick
Douglas is summoned to come and take a look at her by Dean Lerner. His boss it's not like, I don't know what Dean Lerner actually is in the hospital hierarchy. He's just kind of the boss, and he reports to someone called Wonton.
Yes.
Who we never see. And we discover that he is best friends with Dr. Rick Sanchez, played by Todd Rivers.
He's Lucian Sanchez.
Lucian Sanchez.
Yeah. It's Rick Douglas.
It's Rick Douglas. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Lucian Sanchez. And the two of them go... Rick goes to visit Liz and makes her some coffee in the staff room. Whereupon Liz starts having psychic visions of room 213 and a man inside it. Rick's friend Renwick is in there. Rick admits to the two other doctors that he used to be interested in the occult, and that for reasons that never quite become clear, he and Renwick decide to try and open the gates of hell in the canteen. And while making a coke float, Renwick successfully opened the gates of hell and went mad. And then worked on a trout farm where he killed 67 trout or something?
60 trout were beheaded that day.
60 trout, okay. So, without much preamble, Rick goes to see Renwick in his room, and as he opens the door, Renwick explodes gorily and splatters the wall with viscera.
Mm-hmm.
And then asks Rick to put him out of his misery, so Rick picks up a shovel and bludgeons him to death. It's meant to be very sad. He gets chewed out by Dean Lerner, who told him to do things by the book, and he just hasn't. And then at Renwick's funeral, inexplicably, Renwick is whole again and bursts from his coffin after Rick has ordered that his body be burned, and everyone still said, no, you can't just burn the dead body. Which then leads to a gunfight in the middle of the cemetery where Rick shoots not only Renwick's mother, but Renwick himself, then uses a flamethrower to burn the coffin. And then Rick is right about everything, but he goes to mourn on top of Darkplace Hospital's roof, and the episode ends.
He kind of laments the fact that now that Renwick's exploded, the gates are open and more bad things will happen.
Yes. And interspersed through this are little talking head shots of Garth Marenghi and Dean Lerner talking about the production of the series. So, I think Antrim's actually probably still the best point of comparison for this, or Hell House.
Mm.
It's the fact that it's not a straight found footage thing like Duplo Party Massacre. It's the fact that we've got the bookending stuff of having the current 2004 era interviews with the actors commenting on the actual episode themselves. And the fact that there's a joke in a upcoming episode about running the episodes running under. And it's looking how many interviews you sort of say, and the episodes were, 10 minutes long? Couldn't get it longer than that.
I argue that one of the earlier examples of this kind of thing is the Japanese movie Noroi, The Curse.
I'd say Noroi is an interesting... Yeah, it's closer to it than some of the found footage things.
Because the concept of Noroi is a documentary filmmaker investigating a ghost story has vanished, and his completed documentary has suddenly shown up at the, I think, publishing agent, and this is them presenting it now to try and shed some light on what happened to the filmmaker.
Yeah, or wasn't it I think Noroi had that weird thing where the 90% of the film is this documentary he handed in.
And then there's a bit at the end.
Yeah, then they say he went missing afterwards, and then they got another tape sent to them, and that contains the last section.
Yes. There was a follow-up tape that actually revealed what happened after the documentary.
Yeah, and why he's vanished.
Fact. But yeah, it kind of fits this sort of theme as well.
I suppose so. And again, it ties back into the whole, I don't think you can do anything but horror comedy with it.
Yeah.
Those are your two things. Although, I think Noroi is meant to be contemporary to when it happened.
Yes, it is.
We're not reconstructing 80s Japan or anything.
No.
I'd say the one I forgot about is 2 out of the VHS sequence do this, because whichever the 80 set ones, that's clearly trying to ape an earlier style.
Yes.
So those are some other instances of it.
Yeah, VHS, the horror anthology series, it Shudder's baby. It kind of, they often do have this sort of theme, because usually it's like a story within a story, and for some reason they're watching the tapes.
Yeah.
There's always a in-house reason why it's happening. I think they've let it slide in the last couple of films, but originally that was how they were kind of structured.
Yeah, and I think it's 2 of them that are deliberately retro, because they were sort of, everything else was going more and more up to date, and then they deliberately set 2 in like 84 or something, or 89 or something. So it was,
there's like an early 90s one as well, I think.
And it deliberately make it a bit more ropey than it had been getting, because it got to HD too fast.
Yeah.
Like VHS 2, I think, is HD, and it's kind of, you've lost most of the aesthetic right at this point. It's interesting having audio commentary integrated into the actual horror series. And we were going to talk about Garth Marenghi himself as well. It's like where this idea come from, or who's meant to be, because everyone would jump to Stephen King as the first obvious touchstone.
There is a lot of debate online about who Garth Marenghi is supposed to be, and I think some of them are more compelling than others.
I think it's meant to be an amalgam, but I say, yeah, there are certain people, more of him goes through than others.
I feel your A-listers, you've got the likes of Stephen King and James Herbert in there.
I'd say also there's a very strong Clive Barker, not least because of typeface in the Terratome book.
Yeah. Well, there is one Terratome story, specifically the typeface one, as you say, that is a parody of Hellraiser. But also the fact that Garth considers himself an artist, and Clive Barker, of course, is an artist.
Yes.
So you've got a little there. In your more kind of, maybe wider things, I've heard a lot of people say Harlan Ellison.
I can see that he does have a passing resemblance to Harlan Ellison.
He has a passing resemblance, and also it's the kind of arrogance, which I would argue Harlan Ellison, who wrote my favourite horror story of all time, I Have No Mouth and Yet Must Scream.
Yeah.
Actually, you would call a Dreamweaver, to be honest. But you've got like this guy who evidently thinks he's Harlan Ellison.
Yeah. That is the right kind of tone for Garth Marenghi's sort of ego.
Well, you've got more to it than that. The one I've seen argued as well for his direct appearance, and if you look at pictures, he is the spit, is William Fredrickson, who wrote The Exorcist.
Okay.
Has the leather jacket and the glasses. But when you're looking at pulp horror in the UK, Sean Hudson, who wrote Slugs, and Guy N. Smith, who wrote Night of the Crabs,
okay,
are your two kind of pulp horrors, which their work sounds a lot more like Garth Marenghi's.
That's the kind of thing.
And I couldn't find much to support this because I only found a couple of interviews with him, but Sean Hudson apparently was notoriously arrogant in interviews as well.
Okay.
And therefore, a lot of people think he's the primary because, he essentially came across in interviews as seeming like he wrote higher art than he actually did when his main work is called Slugs.
Yes.
Which itself was a rip-off of The Rats, of course, by James Herbert.
Yeah. I think it's safe to say he's just he's a convenient amalgam, and basically you can read basically any horror, any of the mainstream horror writers into him very easily.
Yeah. I always assumed Stephen King, to be honest, because he does look a bit like Stephen King. But that was before I saw this picture of Willem Fredrickson. It's like, yeah, actually.
Well, I think you've also got King's 80s adaptations that glut when everyone was doing Stephen King stuff.
Well, Stephen King used to do his dollar movies, which is why there were so many of them, is Stephen King, you could buy the rights for one of his films for $1, which unfortunately led to things like The Lawnmower Man being made.
Well, yes.
But did also lead to the Darabont Stephen King adaptations being made, like Shawshank.
Yes.
The main thing to be aware of Garth Marenghi, though, is that Garth Marenghi, the character, believes he writes high art.
Yes.
And that's the key to understanding him, because that seems to, reading reviews of the series from when it came out, went over some people's heads.
Yeah, well, I think that comes back to the lost media thing of trying to get you to understand is that this is what they thought of themselves. It's not necessarily true.
Yeah, Garth Marenghi has written, as he puts it, written more books than he's read.
Exactly.
And you always get the little expert, like at the start of this one, where he reads you a passage from his books, and they are all universally terrible.
Yes.
It's the kind of pulp horror where they've written horror to the extreme, where what should be grotesque becomes silly.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that horror writer, that definitely seems to be more the authorship of what Garth Marenghi does, because he doesn't seem to be, aside from the obvious horror as a parody in Terratome, doesn't go in for anything that Stephen King or Clive Barker would ever go near.
No.
There's a thing I found about horror is, and we'll probably get to it more in other episodes, of place or location is weirdly critical. Say you can do with horror that will work, and sometimes if you bring it up, it will sound silly. Like, you have horror in a hospital, fine. There are plenty of horror series done in hospitals, it's a proven thing that will work. Abandoned schools work, abandoned factories, old mental asylums, like for Session 9.
Yes.
But then there are places where you can't set horror unless you really work at it, and I don't know anyone's actually tried because I think you've got an uphill battle. Like, you can't set horror at a village. Well, unless it's folk horror, you can't really do it at a village fate kind of thing. So if you could do the Wicker Man or the Village Fate.
Hot Fuzz, Wicker Man.
Yeah, but you couldn't do this kind of horror. Would seem weird if you tried it there.
Yeah.
So I think opening the gates of hell in the hospital canteen does not have the right vibe to it.
It's the use of the canteen to make it ridiculous. If you said in the morgue of the hospital, you've got a different setting.
Exactly. So you go into reanimator kind of thing because they do all their stuff in the morgue. Yeah, canteen is the wrong environment, and I think that's a very deliberate choice of that undercuts even the shred of horror you've got going for you.
It should be noted that the setting of Darkplace Hospital is probably inspired by Ridget, Lars von Trier's hospital horror comedy surrealist series. In English, it's called The Kingdom.
Yes, and when was the US version?
Interestingly, the US version of The Kingdom, which was helmed by Stephen King, is called Kingdom Hospital, and that came out the same year as Darkplace. So we can't specifically say the English version is, but Ridget probably inspired both of them.
Yeah. Oh no, I would just say there's no doubt in my mind that it's involved. I would have found it so much funnier though if Kingdom Hospital had come out in like 2002 or something, and they deliberately taking podcasts all the other way round. Kingdom Hospital was 2006, and it's like...
I would recommend... I've never actually watched Ridget, but I have seen Kingdom Hospital. And if you enjoy Darkplace, it's probably worth a look.
It's closer to actual horror than Darkplace ever gets.
It's closer to horror, but it is remarkably silly at the same time.
Yeah, it
does have this
problems.
kind of dark humour to it.
Place is vital for horror to work, and there are some places you can set horror and some places you cannot. It's safe to say Darkplace Hospital is not a good place to set something, because having to hospitals in the UK, how have you got Darkplace as the name of your hospital?
It's Darkplace Romford as well.
I was going to say, do we actually know it's Romford?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in the heart of Romford, which again, if it's a joke that only really works if you're from the UK, is East London is a really non-scary place to set somewhere.
Exactly.
It's not the moors of Scotland or something like that.
The mystique is gone, and I think even the name doesn't help, because you can do horror in London and Chicago and Los Angeles and New York. Romford, you crash into it. It's kind of the whole...
It's a bit like there was a British kind of horror comedy writer called Robert Rankin, who tended to set his stuff in and around Milton Keynes, Brentwood, which has the kind of, again, they're places that are just inherently comedic to think of horror being set there. Yeah.
Well, I think Milton Keynes has to be because it doesn't have enough history. It's too modern.
It's the newest city or something like that in the UK.
Like the 50s, 60s, 70s or something. It's way more modern than anywhere else, and therefore the idea of it having a dark past is painting ridiculous. I mean, it's not a thing that you couldn't do, because you could make it a Silent Hill situation where it's been built on top of an older settlement or this place where it's a vacant lot because no one went there because it's so cursed or something.
Yeah.
But then Silent Hill works possibly a bit too well as a horror place to set things.
It's also got a spooky evocative name that isn't Romford.
It's a very deliberate choice of Romford.
When you have your American towns that are called things like Silent Hill, Shady Pines,
Raccoon City.
Raccoon City
actually is just insane.
That is a strange name. Yeah.
But again, I suppose Resident Evil isn't scary per se most of the time.
But you have a name that therefore evokes something eerie about the place.
Yeah.
Romford.
It does not. And I think that's another key part of it.
But you also have that one shot of Darkplace Hospital that you keep seeing over and over again, where it's a very blatant model that they kind of zoom in on.
It's not one shot; they're all different shots, but they've got the one model. Yeah. It's wonderfully terrible cardboard. Well, it's probably not cardboard, but a wonderfully terrible model. Very vintage 80s.
Yeah.
One thing where I found myself thinking going through it is, I don't know how much of some of the humor I think relies a lot on if you've ever tried to make your own films, or ever try to write something yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the continuity errors, and some of them are really subtle and some of them are really blatant, but there are so many continuity errors in that.
I noticed one that was cracking me up when Dean Lerner's holding a shovel and it keeps swapping hands and occasionally completely disappearing between shots. Yeah.
Well, there's a great shot, I think, of it's either Rick or Liz walking along a hall, and it's looking down at him, and you can see two pair of legs with stilettos walking past.
Okay.
And then it cuts to a sort of profile shot, and there's a man in the exact same position walking past Rick.
Okay. I do like sometimes where it's like someone hasn't called cut fast enough. Like, there's one where I think he sends Liz to wash up his cup or something like that in his wonderful 80s sexism, and she just keeps walking down the corridor, and just the scene doesn't end.
And then the other actors stop awkwardly at the end of the corridor as well. Well, there's also like when he arrives at the funeral and there's a really long intro of him walking up to the graveside. It just shouldn't be there anymore. But I think it's like some of the dialogue, like especially stuff that Dean says it's stuff you don't have to put into the script or dialogue or anything, but it's still there. Like, oh, it looks like Rick was right, I better go tell him. Over to him to sort of say.
I wouldn't say about the character Thornton Reed as well is incredible, because they have a big build-up to Dean Lerner's first appearance as Thornton Reed, where he kind of does this whole spiel about, I told Garth that I was an actor. He said, I don't want an act, I want the truth. So here is my truth. And then he always just talks in monotone like this throughout the whole thing. But I just love the way he does it, and he's always got the same facial expression, and it's just one run-on sentence with no emotion to it. I told you about that. I warned you. It all had to be by the book. And just kind of go. He's just tremendous character.
He really is. However, this man had convinced Garth Marenghi that any of this was a good idea.
Because he's supposed to be Garth Marenghi's agent or something, isn't he?
He is. Yeah, and then also decided he could be I don't know if he's meant to be the director of Garth Marenghi's the director, isn't
Garth Marenghi's the director. And even when you watch the credits at the start, the theme song is inspired by melodies hummed by Garth Marenghi or something.
Yes, the one credit that isn't Garth Marenghi.
Yeah.
I like the real subtle jokes with Lucien Sanchez. And it's one of these weird ones where you have to kind of pay attention to it, but it's like he loses lip sync all the time, and that's such a weird thing to do to him.
You've even got, even from the starting point, the really kind of 80s thing of he's got a Spanish name, but it's a white actor playing him.
Yeah, and he's just a bit tanned.
Just slightly tanned. But yeah, periodically the lip sync just completely goes off with his character as well.
It's like, what is going on?
But again, you've got these kind of things that now seem offensive in there that they've deliberately put in, like the white actor playing Sanchez, and all of the casual sexism towards Liz.
Yeah.
But it's her first introduction where she comes in and says something like, I got all A stars at Harvard, Yale, or something like that for her credentials, and they just go, oh yeah, that sounds fine.
Well, it's also just the whole, I've come out the vacancy about the doctor. It's like, I'm pretty sure doctors get deployed differently to how this works.
Yeah. But then it's things like she has the heart-to-heart conversation with Rick Douglas, at which point he accepts her help and immediately sends her to do the washing up.
Yeah. You made a point to me when we were watching the funeral part of the episode.
Yeah.
Is you can't really escape the comedy vortex and the fact this is also Channel 4 of Father Ted as an influence. Probably.
I can't see a funeral anymore and not think, you let Dougal do a funeral.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's part of that comedy pool, though, because a lot of the people involved with the likes of Father Ted were also involved with the IT crowd, which also shares a lot of actors with Darkplace.
Yes. We could jump off and also talk about the other weird comedy things in the ether around these people. Because obviously we keep mentioning it, and if you as a listener have never encountered this is gonna sound very strange. But I promise you, this exists as a series. You can go watch it. It's not gonna make a lot more sense, but it is real. The Mighty Boosh, which is
such a hard sell. The Mighty Boosh. You have to have a certain sense of humour to appreciate it.
I'd say it's actually an acquired taste, because you can bounce off it really easily if you come to it in the wrong way.
I didn't see the appeal at first. I admit it grows on you, the Mighty Boosh.
I think the more you watch it, the better.
And I do think the second and third seasons are probably stronger than the first one.
Yeah, I think they've got a better idea of setting and everything. So, the Mighty Boosh came out of something from the Edinburgh Fringe, as far as I'm aware, where Julian Barrett and Noel Fielding, who will show up later on, formed a comedy duo. And from there, they came up with this thing, which is the Mighty Boosh, which I think started off as a radio series. Richard Ayoade is attached to this as a minor role because he is a very sporadically occurring druid, because they have druids in the Mighty Boosh for reasons that are very complicated.
They're shamans.
They're shamans.
Yeah.
For very complicated reasons that they have shamans. But basically, it's a pair of friends who basically, I think they went to school together and they sort of just stayed together afterwards and just live together and do everything together.
And initially they worked together in a zoo.
Yeah, and then they ditched the zoo format to living above an antique shop, which is where they kind of stick going after that.
Yeah.
An absolutely surreal comedy series of Julian Barrett, who plays the vicar, is the straightest of the straight men in, I think, anything ever. He is the butt of most jokes. He will always fail.
And you have then Noel Fielding, who's his bestie, who is kind of fabulous, pretty goth, vaguely gender fluid character.
Goth.
Who always comes out on top.
Actually, in some ways, it's a very similar idea to Darkplace, where you have absolutely fantastical stuff, and then you crash it into mind-boggling mundane thing.
Yes.
And one of the weirdest ways I think the Mighty Boosh does it is everything is all monetary stuff is in euros. And something about that just reads wrong every single time they say it.
Because they're in the UK.
And one of the other things is that the Mighty Boosh is designed to be deliberately cheap looking. It's probably a lot more expensive to produce than you think it is, but it doesn't look expensive.
Especially when you see certain characters, like the reoccurring character called the Hitcher, who has a polo mint container, a sweet container glued to his face.
Yes. So it's a sister series to Darkplace. It's more successful.
Yes.
Because they've got live shows, and I don't know if they're still doing anything, but they've got 3 TV series.
Yes.
In contrast to Darkplace.
Well, in part, Darkplace did so badly because it was put on very late at night on Channel 4 with no advertising. And, it wasn't until after it had already been cancelled that it became a kind of cult smash hit.
Although, do you not remember that in Mighty Boosh they sort of make that joke about that Peacock Dreams was put on late night on a digital TV?
Peacock Dreams.
And of course, to venture out in another direction, we've got the IT crowd as the variable. I mean, it picks up, I think, a lot more after it gets started.
Yeah, it's got a couple of controversial episodes, it should be noted, because in subsequent years after the IT crowd, the creator has come out as a massive transphobe.
Yes,
so unfortunately that's tarnished the viewing of a couple of episodes in particular when you know this. It's still a very quotable series. You hear people quoting the IT crowd.
Have you turned it off and on again?
Hello IT, have you tried turning it off and on again is a classic one. Or knowing that the emergency services number is 0118-999-8819-911-97253, which will never leave my head.
I've noticed. Okay. Darkplace.
Yes.
It's the precision, I think, that they've sort of done to it. It's sort of just clear. It's clear. It looks and feels like something that would have gone out in the 80s on TV, late night Channel 4. And it was that late because no one knew what to do with it after they had it produced, really.
Mm.
But to put it on 2004, yeah, it's... I think I would just keep going back to the whole thing of Antrim and Dubrow Party Massacre. I think Antrim does it slightly better because you've got the context to it.
Yeah.
They make sure it clear up front you know what this is.
Well, Antrim also does it to build tension by telling you that as a warning of...
I'm still astonished they actually had the whole film there because I was convinced we were going to watch a mockumentary.
Yeah.
Because I thought, there's no way they can let us see the cursed film. And I was quite surprised we got to watch the cursed film.
Yeah.
And they did explain, though, why the film was cursed, and presumably we got to watch the uncursed version because they took all the extra bits out of it.
I understand that Antrim's quite Marmite because it's very slow burn, but I would recommend it for horror fans. I think it's actually an excellent film.
Oh, yeah, it's unnerving in a way that you can't put your finger on initially.
Mm.
It becomes more unnerving as it goes on, despite the very simple premise and the... I don't know, there's something, the atmosphere's captured in a way that I've not seen other people do very easily.
To be fair, you've kind of got, in hindsight, there is a lot of Darkplace in Antrim and vice versa because it's all framed around opening a portal to hell.
Yes, that's true.
Which is what the plot of the first episode of Darkplace is. I just like the description of it in Darkplace, though, of when I came back from the kitchen, the portal was open and there was evil all over the place.
Evil was everywhere, yeah. Which also...
There's nothing even specific there, just evil.
But that's contrasted with the specificity of he went to get 2 Coke floats.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if that's part of why Darkplace failed, because I think Dubrow Party Massacre also opens with a good explanation of why the footage is in such a terrible state and why it's got ad breaks running through it.
Mm.
And you'd think that Darkplace would get away with that given you've got him doing it so straight-faced to camera at the start. I think this might be in lines with kind of like Spinal Tap or Forrest Gump, where unfortunately it's been too convincing and people aren't aware that this is a massive joke.
I guess, there's
It's
nothing
really straight-faced.
There's nothing on the episode that really tells you that it's fake.
You'd have to watch the end credits and they go by quite quick if you actually see that these people aren't who they say they are.
Mm.
Okay, so the other weird example to put up then obviously is The Room.
Oh, Tommy Wiseau.
Tommy Wiseau. And Neil Breen, who I've only ever seen videos of, and his stuff seems a trip.
Mm.
And it's one of these weird quirks people pointed out about the So Bad It's Good films, is as soon as the people in charge of making it know that you appreciate the film as a comedy rather than as a serious thing, and then try to pivot to capitalize on that, the joke stops working.
The funny thing about Tommy Wiseau used to be the fact that Tommy Wiseau ardently believed he'd made Citizen Kane.
Yes.
And, that was the amazing thing about The Room, is Tommy Wiseau could not see that it was a bad film. He's only very recently kind of figured that out.
Yes, and he's trying to capitalize on it, and it's not working, because that's how the disaster art has happened, and that's with a bit too much affection for the actual product.
Yeah.
I think they captured that aspect of Garth Marenghi as well. That Garth Marenghi doesn't understand what he's doing, or what he's done. Like Ed Wood as well, to a certain point, is they're convinced they are making the greatest thing of all time, and you will have a lasting legacy in the future. It's possibly not the one you wanted.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
No, I think you've covered the first episode quite nicely. We've given an introduction
Yep.
to Darkplace, Garth Marenghi, Rick Douglas.
2000s era British comedy of the surreal kind.
Yep. And the fact that none of this is real.
So, next time is Hell Hath Fury.
I think I know which episode this is. Yeah.
If you would like to get hold of us, though, our email address is thingsgettingstrange42@gmail.com.
You can also find us on social media, and please do hook me up if you are a Garth Marenghi fan, or if you've got any ideas of what you'd like to see in the future on this channel. You can find us on Blue Sky and Tumblr, GetStrange42. Additionally, if you're not sick of my voice right now, I also stream live on Twitch TV under the name Adverse Camber 42, Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 PM GMT and Saturdays at 5 PM GMT, where I'm currently playing Silent Hill F on PlayStation 5 and Digimon's Story Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory on PlayStation 4.
Our theme music is envisioned by Kevin MacLeod. You can find it on Computech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. Thank you all for listening, and until next time, please remember, blood and bits of sick.